Greetings everyone, and welcome back to War Thunder. Today we're going to be doing a bit of arcade with the Heinkel 112V5. It's a plane that I basically unlocked yesterday, and I've been dicking around with it a bit. Bit of warning, I am doing this video post-audio because at the time of recording this in-game I was having issues with my microphone, which was not the most convenient thing in the world. So the first thing I do with this particular match is basically go against the general rule of how to stay alive, but I somehow managed to stay alive. Basically the last 3 matches before this were a complete slaughterfest, and it kind of put me in a bit of a bad mood. So I decided to essentially ram headlong into the entire flight of oncoming enemy birds. Doesn't go completely disastrously, so you'll see that in a moment. Also, this was a really quiet arcade battle. There was only a couple of players on each side, and most of it was the AI, which did make things a bit easier. So here I am diving down for the first one, lodging a couple of hits, dodge away out of the fire, make a run on the Fury, miss him, second Fury, get some hits, run down to the Nimrod, and we get a critical hit on him, set him on fire, and then I decide to peel around and see what is left of the other ones I swiped at, and make my way back into friendly territory. There's the first kill there from the Nimrod that burnt down. Sent a Fury down there, so I've made a dive for it, and he's going to die. There we go, there's kill number 2. And I'm just going to quickly make my way back to the pack so I don't fall too heavily under fire here. I don't particularly enjoy flying this plane. I mean, God, it's one of the first sort of, all metal monoprops you unlock, so it's not exactly going to be fantastic, but it doesn't turn well. Like turn fighting against biplanes in this is not a good idea. It's definitely for boom and zoom 100%, although I do try and turn fight a few things, and that doesn't exactly go too well for me. My aim is getting better, but I am so excited for getting a joystick because just the mouse, I'm just having a lot of trouble aiming with it, and I've tried turning down the sensitivity, and that's helped a bit. The problem is when I'm really in the heat of combat, I tend to grip my mouse quite tightly, and I keep knocking the button that increases how sensitive it is. It's right in the middle of the mouse, and it's really inconvenient. All of a sudden my sensitivity will go right through the roof, and I'll suddenly have real trouble hitting things. I think I avoid that during this match because I tend to usually get kills pretty consistently. At this point here, I'm debating whether or not to go down for the Fury or the other bird a bit further off in the distance. I decide to go for the Fury, as it's making a run on our ground targets, and at the moment the enemy are definitely killing more of our ground targets than we are of them. We're definitely focusing more on the enemy aircraft at this point, and it is starting to bite us in the backside a bit. So I'm heading over for the SB right now. Unbeknownst to me though, my self-assigned squad mate is also heading over there, so I'm about to essentially waste a good amount of time flying over for a kill that I'm not even going to get. But at this point I'm just surveying whether or not he's considering me to be a threat, seeing as I do have the altitude and the energy advantage. But he hasn't really taken consideration of me, and that's because my squad mate was bearing down on him with the P-26, and that dude is dead after successfully bombing a couple of our vehicles. Now, at this point here, most of the enemy planes are out of the sky, and there's just a sea of blue. However, that isn't the game completely won, as they are starting to whittle away at our ground units. So I've decided to take up that role myself and start taking out some enemy artillery positions with the machine guns on this Heinkel. They're not the strongest guns either. I actually found them to be quite ineffective against ground targets compared to some of the guns I found on the biplanes, especially the British biplanes. Now I don't know whether I'm assuming that's obviously a reflection on the actual quality of the guns as well. Like, they're obviously the same caliber, but they could be, different rating for each craft, based on what they were like historically. So that's something I'm really gonna sink my teeth into after this and have a bit of a read and see what the go is. Now I'm debating whether or not to go over this SB2U here. He is making a run for our artillery positions, and I'm really trying to stop them getting a ground advantage on us. However, the Deep Walker is also making a run on it. The Deep Dweller, sorry, not the Deep Walker, what's wrong with me? He's making a run for it as well as P-26. Players has made a successful ground run and taken out a couple of AAAs and an armoured car. I'm not catching up to him particularly fast, so I decided to peel off and really start hammering down at the ground targets, because at this stage we're going to lose just on the fact that we're not able to catch the enemy, but they're still able to take out our ground units faster than we can. So I start picking off these units really quickly. And it's good practice as well for setting up runs and learning how the bullet drop-off is for this plane, because I'll be using it for the next couple of games just whilst I start cranking out the research points for the German tech tree, because I want to unlock some of the slightly better planes like the Bf-109, Stuka of course, and some of their sort of more heavy hitter ground attack vehicles like, you know, the Ju-88 and things like that. So, you know, that's definitely on my to-do list, and that's at the forefront of my mind whilst I'm doing these missions, is, you know, what's going to get me the most points, what's going to progress me the furthest. And, you know, yeah, killing the aircraft at the start was good, but they were really starting to thin out, so I decided I'm going to be most useful taking out enemy ground units, and their ticker is still decreasing slower than ours. However, we are definitely a little bit more on the even playing field. Just dodging out of the way of some AAA whilst I'm reloading my guns, and I'm going to sweep around and make another strafing run on the vehicles here. One thing I really got to say is I do love the damage mechanics in this game, and how much of it is taken into consideration with each aircraft. That's been a really pleasant surprise for someone who's not done flight simulators for a really long time. It's been fun and interesting in finding out how many different ways you can die in this game. And it's, yeah, and one of the things I really like is the fact that you can, you know, be killed and yet not suffer very little damage to your aircraft. The enemy's just got to take the right pot shot at you and it hits your pilot and then you're gone. And with this particular aircraft, that's a real problem because it's an open cockpit, and it's a really obvious target when you get up close. And quite a few matches I was taken out really quickly just because I wasn't being as careful as I should have been, not being aware, giving way too much of an energy advantage to my opponents, which is why in this particular match, except for the start, I've actually been quite a bit more cautious with my flying, and I've always been checking around to see where the enemy aircraft are. I did notice for a split second that diving player there, but I deemed him to be not much of a threat because he was too busy focusing on something else. So I've taken down another artillery, and he's already peeled off somewhere else now. There is a P-26 coming over, but I don't think he's going for me. And the entire game has just switched from air-to-air combat all of a sudden to ground attack, and who's going to take out the enemy fastest. And we have just overtaken them, and it looks like they've realized that and they're about to push on our fighters, but they're not attacking me, which is a mistake on their part because I've basically been the one doing a lot of the ground attacking in this particular arcade battle, and it cost them the game. Like, we do win this match, and you know, even though it was only, I think, 2 or 3 players on each side and the rest was AI, it was still a lot of fun. And here we are, just taking out the last of the ground vehicles, taking out the AAA. I have gotten to grips with the aim by this point in the game, so like most of the time I'm getting the ground attack runs in one go. I'm having a crack at this P-26. My aim is atrocious on this run. I did everything wrong. I went up from underneath him, and it didn't really matter because he won the game anyway. So 9 ground kills, 6 air targets destroyed. Not too bad, considering I haven't been playing the game long, and I'm really not liking my mouse and keyboard setup, but I'm persevering, and we've got plenty of research points. And as you can see, that's unlocked a few things for us here, so we can purchase the wing repair. I'm just deciding what I'm going to research immediately next because I've got enough points to immediately research the airframe, so I thought I might as well do that. And then I purchase it, and then we're probably going to research the engine next, because I would like a bit more speed, especially if I'm going to be just using boom and zoom tactics on this plane. It will definitely be easier. So that's that for that particular battle. What we're going to do next is run into another battle where I have a few issues with this same craft, unfortunately. So we'll skip over to that now, and we'll see exactly what I'm talking about. So I've loaded into another game. I'm just quickly selecting which particular ammunition I want to use. I'm probably going to stick with Universal. I do like tracers, but at the moment I am finding that it is easier using Universal to set things on fire. Unfortunately, it doesn't do me a lot of good, because I quickly run into a problem. Now, I've just twitched my wing there to the right. However, I wanted to go left, and I very quickly realized that all of my controls somehow have suddenly become inverted. My aim is inverted, my pitch and roll is inverted. I don't know what happened. After resetting the game, everything was fine again, but this is me very quickly attempting to get to grips with having everything backwards, and it just doesn't go well. I'm panicking. I'm looking around trying to see if anything's making a run for me. I'm going to have a crack at going for this BF 109 because he's peeled off from everyone else, and see if there's even any point in me doing this match with everything inverted. So I'm making my run. He is quite high up. I don't have the best altitude advantage here, but then he starts going low, and that allows me to pick up some speed and catch up on him. And I'm trying my best to aim with inverted controls. I'm doing pretty good considering this is a last minute change. But it just takes so long to kill this plane. Like, just watch, get a couple of hits on him there, but I miss because I'm trying to adjust it really gently, but it's almost impossible because I'm used to doing it with the controls the way they're set up for myself, and now everything's upside down and I'm just missing here and there. I can't lead my bullets properly. I'm wasting lots and lots of ammunition here. He knows I'm right behind him as well, but for some reason he's just sitting there, and yep, then I just took out his pilot. Very lucky shot on the pilot. I think that kill was lucky in general because that dude just wasn't evading. He basically gave that kill to me. And I'm just debating, okay, I've gotten one kill, how hard can this be? The other dude went down pretty quickly. That guy was, definitely more aware, and that was my mistake for doing a head-on in basically what was the plane that lost out to the BF 109 in the contracts. I think only about 100 or just over 100 of these Heinkels were ever basically run through production. They came in second place in the contract that the German Luftwaffe had for what was to become the BF 109. And this lost out to that, so you could say it is inferior to the BF 109. It is inferior to the BF 109. But it holds its own against these other lower tier aircraft pretty well. It's still, honestly, quite rubbish in my opinion. But I'm going to do a little episode about the history of the BF 109. And this will definitely feature in that because it's part of the early history. And here I am getting another kill. I'm getting used to having the controls inverted now, and I'm getting my confidence back. That confidence does come back and bite me right in the arse though, as you'll see shortly. I'm making a run on the Fury now. He's too focused on our ground targets. I'm going to attempt to take him out with just a quick burst. That doesn't work. I miss, and then I get him. If in doubt, spray and pray. No, actually no, that's horrible advice. Delete that. That is the worst advice you could probably give. So here I am going after another plane, and I'm missing. I'm pretty certain I don't even get the kill on this one because he starts to out-turn me, and at this point I'm not paying attention to my surroundings at all. I'm too focused on trying to kill him. I swing round, and I forget for a split second my controls are inverted and pitch down instead of pitching up, which costs me the chance to sort of dive on that dude. I'm reloading my weapons anyway, so there wasn't anything I could have really done, and I only was alerted to that by the sound of the guns cocking, so at that point I would have dived on him, not even realizing that I was out of ammunition. So my head wasn't really in it, and I didn't even notice that dude coming for me until the last second, and that's where things start going wrong. I try and go evasive, but the problem is this plane just cannot outturn these lighter, smaller, nimbler biplanes, and yep, there we go. And basically the rest of the match kind of goes something like that. So I'll essentially end the video with that. It was mildly amusing, that match, getting killed because of inverted controls, so hopefully we'll have a bit more luck next time. I'm going to spend some time unlocking some more planes, and then we'll be back with something different once again. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.